Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. This is Real Talk with Coach Sherri. And this channel is about workforce development, career readiness, entrepreneurship, and of course, real life, real issues, and real talk. I have a special guest tonight, as I do typically every Friday night here at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I am so excited for her to come and share her nuggets with us. I hope you have your pen and paper ready because you are going to capture some valuable information. So before we begin that, I want to welcome you in. Please be sure on your way in to hit the thumbs up. If you are not already part of this team, I invite you right now to hit the subscribe button and also the bell for notification. This chat is going to be live tonight. I know it is. So leave your comments, leave your questions in the chat, and we will get to them definitely. We want you to join this wonderful conversation. If you are catching this as a replay, thank you for watching, and leave a comment in the description box below on a nugget that you obtained from this live. So also, I want to let you know that this Friday Night Live is being sponsored by Creative Minds Create. And I have their information here. Let me get it. And I encourage you to go to their website and check out all the things that they have. They do necklaces and bracelets, and they are personalized and customized. So they are perfect for that hard to purchase for person that's in your life. That person that has everything and you just don't know what to get them, but they're really sentimental. And so this is a great way to show them that you really care about them, that you understand what their likes are, what they love, and take a picture, send it to Creative Minds Create, and have them put it on a bracelet or a necklace, and they will love it. So that is my sponsor for tonight's show. All right. I'm so excited about my guest tonight. Her daughter is a very popular YouTuber as well. And I had the pleasure of meeting her daughter in person. Many of you know who her daughter is. I'm going to be back and forth in the live. And before I continue, I want to thank and welcome Vern's Junk Closet. And Jaden Suh 28 was first to be here tonight in the live. And let me see who else. Vernell Livingston, thank you so much for being here. See there, Vern's Junk Closet. I'm trying to keep it together. And yes. Verns, oh my goodness. Y'all have no idea. But thank you. You're welcome, Floyd. And so I want to thank everyone for being here. For those of you that are speaking in the chat, and as well as those of you who are just tuning in, you might be on your ride home. You might be going to meet some family and friends for dinner. You know, whatever the case may be, thank you for having Coach Sherri on, because you could have been anywhere else. You could be listening to anything else, but you said, you know what, let me hear what Real Talk with Coach Sherri is going to be about tonight. I want to thank Minister of Music Terrence Trower for being in the building. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for taking the time out. And Vernell is an amazing supporter as well. She's not necessarily building a YouTube channel yet, but I encourage you all to connect with her, connect with Vern's Junk Closet. She is better known as the YT cheerleader. Minister Terrence Trower is amazing. He does so much for the youth in his community, and he puts on events to kind of keep them occupied. You know, what they say, an idle mind is not a good thing. So he definitely is involved a lot, and that is wonderful. I am looking forward to the month of November, the November 22nd. I'm going to be doing something special with Minister Terrence and the youth in his church. Let's see, Jaden Suh 28 was the first one to make it into the live today. He said hello way before I even started, and that was exciting to see. That's how you know you're going to have a really good and interactive live, when you see people are tuned in before it even starts. So I appreciate everyone for being here. Vern's Junk Closet is an amazing mod. I appreciate her so much. She welcomes everyone in and she keeps things organized. And I really couldn't do it without her or any of my other mods. Please be sure, if you see the mods, they are in blue. If you do not know who they are, gather them up. Gather anyone that's in my live up, because typically, you know, they say like minds roll together, or birds of a feather flock together. So everyone they're great people. I see Jazzy Slots is in the building. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. So like I was saying, my guest is the mother of a YouTuber that many of you are well aware of. Her name is Lisa Carter of Carter's Eats, and she has a second channel, Mrs. Carter. And I noticed in one of Lisa's lives, her mother was accompanying her. You know, they were doing a video together. And I was so amazed by her mother and the things that she has accomplished and continues to accomplish. And, you know, with my Friday Night Lives, I really love to have conversations with people that are doing great things, either in business, in education, nonprofits, in sports, in anything, any area in their life where they're making a difference. And she is making a difference. She is inspirational because she has accomplished so much. And as a wife, as a mother of three, and I really wanted her to come so that she can share some nuggets on how to get past the obstacles. Oftentimes we have these obstacles in life that are life, and we allow those obstacles to stop us where we're at, to pause us, and we start and start and just freeze. But you know what? It's important to start and continue and finish. And that is what she has done. And so I'm going to have a thorough conversation with her about how she did that. How does she go back and get her master's with young children and a husband? How does she go back and get her PhD with children and a husband? You know, what motivated her? How does she keep going? How does she get that work-life balance? So I'm sure that all the things that she's talking about can be related to your life in some form or fashion. I want to read a little bit about her bio before I bring her up here so that you can get to know her a little bit better. I want you to craft some questions that you may have for her that I don't get to. And please be sure, like I said before, to have your pen and paper ready so that you can jot down the things that she is sharing with you. If you know someone else that also needs to hear this, please share this live out. If you don't have an opportunity to share the live out, no problem. You know, this is recorded. This is part of my legacy. So you can definitely come back for the replay. Okay, her name is Dr. Eleanor Joyce Roland, and she has her BSN from Winston-Salem State University, which is an HBCU here in North Carolina. HBCUs, I'm trying to tell you, which is historical Black colleges and universities, they churn out leaders year after year, and Dr. Joyce is no exception. She is a leader in her own right, and I can't wait to hear about her journey at an HBCU for undergrad. She received her bachelor's in nursing from Winston-Salem State. She has her master's from Seton Hall in New Jersey and her PhD from North Carolina State University. So she's married with 3 children, an author of 8 published books. And I am going to focus on her most recent book, which is All That Glitters Is Not Gold. And in my description box below, I have the link to Amazon where you can get this book. I also have the link where you can purchase all of her books and check out the ones that she has. You know, you can pick and choose or get them all, but I was attracted to this book, and actually Carter's Eat had her mom on her show. Well, no, before she had her mom on her show, I remember her talking about this book, and then she brought her mother on and was talking about it. The thing that attracted me most to this book is not only does it have inspirational quotes, but it's interactive. And I hope you can see this, the way the pages look. It's interactive. And if any of you know me as a trainer, as a facilitator, as an instructor, I always when I'm live, especially when I'm live and in person with the people that I'm training, I always provide interactive handouts. I always feel that it's important when you are learning something new to capture it, to write it down. And so, yes, these are quotes and you are learning something new. She's asking about the beginning of your day. How will you apply that particular quote? Who else can you share this quote with? And at the end of the day, so you start off the day with the quote and you end it with the quote. How did you apply that quote today? And what will you do differently going forward? Those are all questions that will enhance you personally and maybe even professionally. But it's something that makes you more reflective and self-aware. And you know, I'm big on self-awareness, but that is one thing that attracted me, and it is filled with pages. This book has 104 pages, 104 quotes and scriptures, and it gives you that opportunity, like I said, to capture your responses, which is awesome. Because how many of you put a number 2 in the chat if you write in books as you're reading them? And you know, they don't usually have space, so you're writing in the margins, you're writing on the inside cover, the outside cover, you know, what write a number 2 in the chat if that's something that you do. All right. She is also, let's see, she does seminars on topics that include self-affirmation and journaling. She's also seminars on raising healthy African-American boys and girls, habits of a healthy lifestyle, ways to create a calm and peaceful life, helping adolescents find their personal path to success. She has expertise in women's issues related to wellness training and management, stress and conflict management, career, health, and life coaching, and leadership development. She uses mind, body, and spirit approaches and assists individuals in repurposing and redesigning the self. She uses her degrees and education in nursing, maternal child health, and psychology to help assist those in achieving maximum health in addition to reaching their personal and professional goals. Now, this is when I need a an assistant or a producer, but bear with me just a second, because I am going to introduce to you my special guest. And before I do, I just want to really quickly say hello to everyone as you coming in. I see Tales of Tea is in the building. Oh, no problem, Minister Terrence, absolutely. I see Vern is saying hello to everyone. Tales of Tea is saying hello as they're coming in. She's coming into the building. T Gaines, thank you for being here. Fly girl. Okay, all right. I see you right in the margins. Jamila Calloway writes in the margins. That's why this book is so amazing. Scratch and Pete writes in the margins and all over the book. Everyone is saying hello. Welcome, everyone. Please remember to give this live a thumbs up. So without further ado, I would like to introduce to you Dr. Eleanor Joyce Roland. Hello, how are you?
Good afternoon, good evening. I'm fine, and I hope you are.
I am. Thank you so much for being here, for taking the time out to have this conversation on this platform. I know that what you're going to share is going to help and inspire and motivate someone, if not many, in this live tonight. So I gave your background, but if you can just give us another little overview of who you are.
Oh, that's maybe easy to do, and maybe it isn't. But I am a native of North Carolina, as we say down east. That's eastern North Carolina, from Goldsboro, North Carolina, and I happen to be now in the western part of the state. So I really feel like I'm kind of changing. I'm still learning my geography, trying to figure out where I am here in North Carolina now. But to tell you about me, I am the second oldest daughter in a family of 4 girls. And maybe I'll start off, maybe the prize, maybe at the end, you can tell me how old I am. But anyway, I'm a senior citizen in the vulnerable population of the pandemic. But I'm just excited about life. There's so many things to do, so many things you find out you haven't done or haven't learned once you retire, especially. And so I'm glad to have the opportunity to share with you guys and answer any questions you might have. But it's such a long journey, but it all did begin at Dillard High School, Dillard in Goldsboro, where we had a beautiful principal who was a Hampton University graduate. That's another HBCU. And he wanted to make sure that all of his graduates sort of knew Black history, where they came from and where they were going or where they intended to go. So I could say he was maybe my second inspiration. I think my first might have been my family, my mother, and what have you. But we'll talk about that as we go along. But technically, I am living now with my third youngest daughter. And if you can see the picture on the wall, that's my second and youngest daughter on the wall behind me. That's Kaifa and Lisa. And the oldest one's name is Leslie. So I came and gave birth during the era when folk used the same initial, to name their kids. My husband's name is Lewis, Lewis. And so therefore I started with the L's. I had to create some names because I didn't just like not too many L girl names. So I have Leslie, True Love, Kaifa. I named her Larisha. She changed her name, but she kept the L. She said, I'll keep the L there, but she got involved with a African movement in Howard HBCU, and she wanted to choose a name for herself that described her. So Kaifa, it means queen. I do believe you all can check that for me. And then Lisa was the last girl, and I liked Lisa. And she was born on her grandmother's birthday. So she's Lisa Mariama being an African name. Wow. So that's a little bit about me. So I've been sort of on this journey a while. And have learned a lot of things. And I would just like to start maybe with one of the quotes here that you may see, but it's a gentleman by the name of Wayne Dyer.
Oh, yeah.
And he says, when you change the way you look at things, then the things you look at will change. And throughout my years, I've kind of lived by, I guess you'd say, adages and quotes and inspirational remarks, because Black parents in the early days, in the say 40s, 50s, and 60s, had to do things to encourage their children because they knew where they were coming from, mostly rural areas, farms, and so forth. But they wanted their children, offspring, to have a better life than they did. And that's where it all sort of began in my mother's home. Her name was Mamie Simmons. And she was 18 years old when she got married, which kind of stimulated my research topic on teenage pregnancy factors and that kind of thing. So everything kind of runs together, and I'll talk about much of it as we go along if we have the opportunity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So one thing that attracted me to you was the fact that you did go to an HBCU. So I could kind of understand why, since your principal was an HBCU grad and seeing how he carried himself, I know that is sometimes a way that students end up being at HBCUs because of the mentors that they've had in their life. But Absolutely. What made you select Winston-Salem State University?
Well, just about every teacher, and I won't say every teacher, someone will dispute me on that, who taught in the public schools of Goldsboro, they were Winston-Salem grads. They were as teachers, and they were very good teachers, and they were known by their teaching program. But how I became attracted to Winston was my sister had a girlfriend who went to Winston-Salem to major in education. And she came by our house one evening just talking and learned that I wanted to be a nurse. So she said, well, Winston-Salem has a nursing program. I said, no, I didn't know that. I wanted to go to Mount Sinai Hospital School of Nursing, which was a diploma program in New York City, because I wanted to get out of North Carolina. So I was ready to head to big time, but I was only 17 years old, so I couldn't get into that program until I was 18. So when she talked about Winston-Salem, and I knew they had a good reputation in the state, and that they were starting a nursing program, and I should consider applying. So that's the first step. I had never, as I say in one of my books, never been west of Raleigh at that time in my life. So I hardly knew where Winston-Salem was, but that's where I went. I applied and was chosen. So that was kind of a given that, and got a few scholarships. I got my little granddaughter just coming up. She likes me. This is Blake. Can you see that? That's Blake. My husband over here is AJ, and I don't think you were invited. That's the oldest boy, 8 years old. So can you all just say hi? Say
hi. Okay. They probably don't remember, but they met me at Birkdale. I'm Coach Sherri. How you doing?
I remember you.
I think that's why they came to see you. Oh. Okay, so let me finish talking and get up on this side so you can see, okay? My husband says that Blake is a little me, like, I guess, embodying all of my characteristics, positive and negative, perhaps. That's good. I like her energy. Yes. So, and she's 5 years old, and they're all kind of big for their age. But anyway, that's kind of how I got to Winston-Salem. But I thought I'd just give you all a treat too for anybody who might be thinking about HBCUs. But this is a T-shirt. If you can see, which way do I go?
Yes.
But anyway, it's
yeah. There you are.
Someone get Winston-Salem State University Rams National Alumni Association. So it is old school, began about 1892, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, founded by Francis Atkins. And it was a normal school. Most of the schools that started at that time were normal schools. But as they grew, they became known for their teacher education. And then they decided that they would embrace nursing. But let me just tell you a little nugget about how nursing came to be. If I tell you when I finished high school, and that's okay too, we were just going through integration and the Civil Rights Bill of Brown versus Board of Education, 1954. Oh, and I just was I'm going to apply to UNC Chapel Hill. I'm going to go such and such a place. But anyway, they had not started accepting African-American students in North Carolina at other schools. So primarily Black high school students were, had their choice was HBCUs unless they got out of the state or went someplace else. So it was like Winston was one of the places that was certainly well thought of, and my mom thought well of it. So that's how I ended up going to Winston-Salem. There is a teacher program, or was one, at Fayetteville State University, Elizabeth City State University, and is there another one? I don't want to leave anybody out, but anyway, Winston-Salem is kind of like, I say, the crown jewel of the teachers' colleges. And they decided to start a nursing program primarily because there was a need for nursing programs, but the majority schools were not admitting Black students for nursing. So that's the first obstacle, to say the least, right? Absolutely. To find a place to go. Yes. So,
yes. And so
that's how I got there.
And being that that's our title, How to Get Past the Obstacles, I'm embracing all ages, all years, and things like that. And I really, if you don't mind sharing the year that you went into Winston-Salem University.
Oh, I don't mind at all. I say the age is just a number. In 1957, I finished Dillard High School, 17 years old, a little bit ahead of myself because I skipped a grade. So because I said I wanted to go to nursing school where the norm was to be 18 years old. And even at that time, only women went to nursing school. So that's another factor that has happened. But I was, so they would take me at 17 because I didn't have to be 18. I didn't start my nursing until later on in the program. And so I was 17 at the time, graduated 21. And for the record, I'm 80 years old.
And the beat still goes on because
I've been out here a long time, and it doesn't. I love it. It's been fun. It's been a good journey, and that's why I say it's just the number. It's what you make of it, And if you going back to nursing, keep yourself healthy, and be mindful of what ages you more so than anything else. That you have a good start, just being healthy.
Yeah,
and have a healthy mindset.
Absolutely. I'm going to welcome everyone in that just entered the building. So welcome to Real Talk with Coach Sherri. And I have Dr. Joyce, which is what I've come to pin her as, Dr. Joyce, who is Carter's Eats, Lisa Carter, Mrs. Carter. If you know her from YouTube, it's her mother. And we are going to be talking about how to get past the obstacles. She has her master's from Seton Hall, her PhD from North Carolina State University, and I should have started with her bachelor's at Winston-Salem State University. But she has overcome many obstacles such as life, being a wife, a mother of 3, and going back to school, having a career. And so many times we allow these things to stop us. And she continues to develop herself, and she is of the young age, the wise age of 8. And is still looking for her next move. You know, she's still keeping it going. She is the author of 8 published books. So this is one of those why not moments. All right, and let me see who has entered the building. I see Carter's Eats is here. Thank you for being here. I see Vern's Junk Closet, Minister of Music. I see Big Tim. I'm in God we trust. Thank you for being here. Biology is great to see you. Lady C. Russell, it's great to see you. I saw you earlier. I hope you're doing well. Let's see. Jamila Sabir Calloway, I saw you earlier, but thank you again for being here. And okay, great. Yes. So everyone is speaking, and Biology is saying congratulations. You have what you have done is inspiring, especially for the time that you did it in. You know, you said that integration had just started when you were graduating from high school, and you went to an HBCU, you majored in nursing. And I know a lot of women that went to college back then, they majored in education or sociology, social work, doing something like that. So what attracted you to nursing?
I would say, give you a little bit more in a minute, but I just want to acknowledge someone who signed up for the chat, Jamila Calloway.
Yes.
She may not know that I recognize her voice. I hope it's the one I'm thinking about that lives in Durham. We were very good friends when I lived in Durham. Jamila Calloway, Sabir. The last person you call.
Yes, here she is right here.
She said, yes, she remembers me. But so she's a good friend of mine too. Yes.
I love it. I see someone I missed, so let me say hello. Shelda Abdur Razak. Okay, she's saying, hi, Joyce. A
friend of mine also.
And a recycled teenager. I love that.
She always called me that. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. So
the question was, how did I choose nursing?
Yes.
Well, it was the same reason you mentioned. I did not want to be a teacher. And as I said at the outset, I used to have sort of a fear of public speaking, and I just didn't want to be a teacher. That didn't appeal to me at all. But I did like taking care of people and helping people. And we also looked at what the women were doing during that time. Women who went to college majored in education, they majored in commerce, which is what North Carolina Central had. That was administration, secretary. And actually, I had an older sister who was already at North Carolina Central majoring in commerce. And as I said, I knew that was not what I wanted to do either, even though I had won several typing contests. It's just, it's almost like searching, but I had wanted to be a doctor. I thought about it, but then I said, as I say in one of my books, I didn't know any Black women doctors. So I had no role model. So you keep going down the list. And there was a beautiful public health nurse who came to our school every year and gave us our vaccinations and what have you. I don't even know where she went to school at this time, but she was my first image of a nurse for sure. And then there were some who were diploma nurses, but many of them went to nursing school, but they didn't come back to Goldsboro for us to get to know them. So nursing was the next career I chose, since I did not necessarily want to spend 8 to 12 years becoming a doctor.
Okay. And that's a good point. You didn't have any any Black doctors that you knew of to maybe have a mentor to look up to. So as parents, as you know, we're here in the chat, as we are here in the live, if you're looking at this in the replay, always keep that in mind. When you are around young people, expose them to as many people as possible in many different careers, because you just never know. And if they don't see people who look like them, they may never try that opportunity that would have been amazing. And you know what's interesting, Dr. Joyce, my son, he was starting kindergarten at 4, and we tested to make sure cognitively he was ready for kindergarten. And we took him to a center, and they tested him on a variety of things, you know, different skills, different knowledge that he would have or should have entering kindergarten. And the person that was testing him came out of the room and spoke to my husband and I and said, he did great. He should be prepared. There was only one profession that he missed, and that was this. And it was a card. It was a Black woman in a white skirt, white lab coat with a stethoscope around his neck. And he said this was a doctor, but this is a nurse. And I said, no, in his world, it's a doctor, because all of his doctors are Black, and many of them were Black women. And so it's reality.
It's who you see. That's right.
It's who you see. So open that up, because that could be an obstacle. However, it worked out in your favor. You know, to be a nurse is, I mean, that's a commendable. That is, I feel like being a nurse is almost like being a pastor, being an educator. It is a calling. And
it is a calling.
It's a calling.
You have to have a stamina for it. Lots of things that you have to overcome as you go through even the education was, I might say, difficult, because we had began to, excuse me. Yes, ma'am. Like I'm talking.
I'm gonna say hello to everyone. Let me see.
Yeah, talk to people while you
Thank you for having people. Everyone, if you don't know,
okay.
Joyce Roland,
Let me talk.
Carter, Mrs. Carter, Lisa, my soror's mother, and you're my soror too. That's right.
Yes, I'm Delta. Yeah. My sister started that. Sherri, she went to North Carolina Central, and everybody, I'll just throw this out, and I'm not knocking anybody, but everybody in Goldsboro was an AKA. And she went to Central and found this sorority and came home talking about Delta. So of course, her being the oldest daughter, we all kind of followed in her footsteps. But now we're also embracing AKAs, because we have Miss Kamala Harris. So right. Yes. We all in there together.
Well, my mother's sister went to Howard, and she's actually an AKA. But it was just something about the Deltas, just nationally, what they were doing, that attracted me so much. You know, just women about their business. So
yes, doing things, getting things done. Absolutely. Yes. So once I got to Winston, I really had to take preliminary courses and prereqs. We didn't go right into nursing. We might have taken one course in nursing arts or something like that. But we started off with our sciences, chemistry, microbiology, physiology, anatomy and physiology, English. That's how they were integrating the curriculum, giving us, liberal arts courses along with the nursing. So that was the goal too. The statement was, most professionals were trained in a 4-year program, so why not nurses? So that was the beginning of that era of the BSN degree.
Wow.
So I was in one of the first classes at WinstonSalem. I graduated in 57. The program started in 53, and I went in 50. No, I didn't. I graduated. I went there in 57, graduated 61.
Okay.
I get that straight for the record.
So I know that going to an HBCU is a safe place, and especially back then.
Yes.
So would you say that you had encountered any obstacles, being that integration just started? It was the height of civil rights. You know, did you experience anything that would have been an obstacle for you completing, and also being part of a new program that didn't have a long track record?
That is a good question, because nursing, many people find this hard to believe, is a difficult curriculum. I went in with a class of 75 students, and I'm learning now over the years with the history that they brought in this large class because they had been losing so many students. They were failing. Wow. So we were a class of 75. 35 of us were there after the first semester. So we lost half of the class after that fall semester. So that the challenge was for me, I say the challenge was to prove that I could do the work and that I belonged there. And there were 6 of us who went there from Goldsboro. Only 2 were in nursing, but we went there strong, so we were supported, and we had to study. I have to say, for those who can't believe this, we had to be in the dorm by 6 o'clock, just about every day. Couldn't go off the campus, but maybe one night a week. But that was after your sophomore year. Freshmen didn't go off campus socializing, so it was a very safe and protected environment. Colleges are not like that now, but I think us being 17 and all, it helped us stay grounded in, there are some boundaries.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And that's interesting. After the first semester, I mean, you hear after the first year, after the fall and spring, but for those of you who don't know, and I don't know if colleges are still doing this for freshman orientation, where they say, look to your left. Oh,
yes.
Look to your left, look to your right. Because those 2 people may not be there at the end.
Exactly.
That's the stats of it all. So the obstacle when you go to college is to stay in college and finish. That's an obstacle.
It's to remember what you went there for.
Absolutely. Yes.
Because all these new things come at you, partying, new friends, new habits. I'll share one quick habit we used to do: play cards on the weekend because we couldn't go out. And during that time, 18-year-olds were smoking. So girls would be smoking in the dorm. And so everybody's, experimenting. A couple of times I tried a cigarette, and one day it dawned on me, Joyce, if this is going to make you sick to learn how to do it, I don't think that's what you want to do. So that was smoking, it was growing up, but I couldn't tolerate the cigarette. So I never have smoked, but it also was enhanced by my nursing background. And that was a very healthy thing to do anyway. So you learn a lot, but you also can get caught up in peer pressure.
Yes, peer pressure. That's a huge obstacle for many people in college. I see the Chit Chat Queen is in the building. Thank you so much for being here. And I see Carter's Eat is saying hello. So is Vern's Junk Closet. I appreciate you both. Leslie T, hello. Thank you for being here. And if you had not already, please be sure to thumbs up this live. If you are not already part of this team, I invite you to hit the subscribe button and the bell for notification. I go live with a special guest every Friday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tonight, I have Dr. Joyce Roland. She is here to share her experiences. She's an author of 8 published books, and she is also the mother of Carter's Eat, Mrs. Carter Lisa. So I'm happy you are here. Okay, so you were at Winston-Salem, and this is a future show that I'm going to do. It's going to be on couples that met at an HBCU and got married and sustained through the years. Because how long have you and your husband been married? And you met at Winston-Salem State University, right?
We met at Winston-Salem State. He transferred to Winston-Salem from Hampton. Also, I was kind of always thinking internally. I had decided that I had not seen any guy at Winston-Salem that I wanted to marry, because that's what the girls went to school for, to meet the boys, and the boys went to meet the girls. And most of the schools, there were more girls than boys, and the guys were football players and all that. But anyway, he transferred there in '59 from Hampton. He was a football player from Kinston, North Carolina. And it took us a while to get to know each other, but I decided that he was a little more mature than I, because we were the same age. And I'll tell this little joke. I always have to throw a little humor in there. One day I was looking at his driver's license because he had told me he was a certain age. And I looked at his driver's license. I said, you were born the same year I was born. I don't date guys who are the same age I am or younger than I or whatever, because we were both, at that time, 19. We got married. I'll say this, 5 days after graduation, May 28th, 1961. We have been married 59 years as of this past May. So we are hanging and holding.
Absolutely.
It's been great. It's been great.
It is. And that's why, like, stories like yours and seeing even my classmates that have gotten married and unmarried and have their children are now going back, because I went to Lincoln University in Pennsylvania, which is the first HBCU.
Yes, yes, yes.
I see so much of that. People that meet at an HBCU, they get married, they stay married. My husband's best friend and I went to college together, and he introduced me to my husband. So inevitably, you either going to meet your spouse or someone is going to introduce you to your spouse.
True. Yes.
All around. And so that's another obstacle, though, because the ratio is ridiculous. It was ridiculous probably when you were there, and it's ridiculous now. It was ridiculous when I was there. It was about 20-1 or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Oh, yeah. That's the number, about 15 to 20-1. And the younger kids now that are going to the integrated schools, it's also hard to, finding that person that matches your personality and your aspirations and all that. Sometimes you're so busy being the good student that you don't get a chance to meet socially. Oftentimes there are occasions, but at an HBCU, the first male you probably will see will be an African American or person of color. So, and that has changed now too, though, because the schools, many of them are integrated. But that was a setting where we didn't have to worry too much, and that was kind of why you said, "Well, I don't know if I'm going to find me a husband here or not," because everybody was trying to find one I could say, identify, So, and also the guys, now they were the ones who were kind of like pick and choosing, they had a lot of choices. So I got lucky.
Absolutely. So you got married 5 days after undergrad, and now, you're getting into a whole nother situation of starting a career as a nurse, being a wife, and eventually becoming a mother after some years. I think that when you and I contacted for 5 years. Yes, and now you're getting into things like your master's program. Your family's moving to another state. And sometimes people get so discouraged by that they just don't even try. It's amazing how many people don't ever leave the state that they grew up in.
Yes.
Comes up someplace else, they don't take it. They bypass it. And
absolutely, and that's a good point to make too, Sherri, about leaving the nest. When I taught at North Carolina Central last, but quite a few students were from Durham, and they would say, "I don't want to leave Durham. I don't want to leave my mother." And it's almost like, "Oh, you got to get out of Durham. You got to see what the rest of the world is like." It's not Durham. Durham is a very nice place, very integrated at the time, and lots of known for its African American middle class population. But it's just to learn more about the world. Who else is out there? What are people doing? How do they do it there? I had one student to tell me one day, "Well, Dr. Roland, Black people don't ski." I looked at her, I said, "The Black people don't ski. There got to be somebody out there skiing." And I knew some, but we make statements like that because we haven't met anybody who's doing something different. So that's a point to make, that you broaden your horizon. The other point I wanted to make about getting married 5 days after graduation. I didn't mention that, but I actually took another course, Sherri, that grew out of integration. I became a nurse anesthetist, certified registered nurse anesthetist in 1966, because there was a hospital in Danville, Virginia, that was very, very, very segregated neighborhood. But at the same time, hospitals had to adhere to a proclamation that hospitals had to integrate. Now, this hospital, Danville Memorial Hospital, had a anesthesia school. And I had met a nurse anesthetist in Durham. And I said, "Oh, I think that's a job I'd like to have, because I like to work in the operating room." So anyway, to make a long story short, I took an anesthesia course before I even went for my master's. And that was an 18-month course. I didn't have any children at the time, so that went along well. We lived in Danville.
People are from Danville.
Is that right? I bet you I might know some of them.
Right?
But
Exactly.
yeah. So anyway, like you say, you sort of go, we didn't like Danville per se, or we said we didn't, but if I hadn't gone to Danville, I wouldn't have gotten to anesthesia. And I had the occasion to work in an all-Black hospital before I went to anesthesia school, where I was gotten my nursing skills honed a bit more. 32-bed hospital, if you can imagine that. But so just life has a lot of surprises, and I think I'm a person who likes, to sometimes get off the road less traveled, or either just see what's around the corner. Let's see what this is about. So I got a chance to achieve one of my dreams early on by becoming a nurse anesthetist, and worked in that capacity for about 12, 15 years before I went back for my master's.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's another thing, Dr. Joyce. People make their own obstacles. And I say that because if you don't seize the moment, if you don't take advantage of the opportunities that are coming your way, that becomes your own obstacle. Because if you don't like the place, you might say like Danville, I wouldn't want to live in Danville. It's, but I'm sure people that are from there love it, whatever.
It's a nice place, beautiful place.
Yeah.
But
but some people might look at that and say, it's not a big city. I want to live in a big city, but you don't understand the training grounds sometimes are in those small towns.
True.
And
yes.
Those will propel you and expose you to things and give you those opportunities like certifications and allow you to take your whole career or whatever you're doing in your life to a whole nother plateau. So
absolutely. Yes.
And I think that's what a situation. Let me say hello to some more people. Let's see. Thank you, Cartazit. She's saying if there's any new people, I see Shades Princess and Beneficial Knowledge. Thank you for being here. Wow, they're in the UK, and so it's probably like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, it is.
Lady Denise, hello. And Pastor Kim's Corner, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Dawn F. Oh, Dawn, how are you doing? Dawn she's from part of my alumni. She graduated a year above me at Lincoln University. She's the president of our National Alumni Association as well.
Okay. Oh, good.
Here. In Rachel's Place is in the building. Hipster, Spinster is in the building. Wow, I appreciate you all. So I'm just going to give them an overview. This is our Real Talk, how to get past the obstacles. My special guest is Dr. Joyce Roland. She is the mother of Carter's Eat, Mrs. Carter Lisa, and she is also the author of 8 amazing books. And we are here to talk about how she has overcome, how she has accomplished all the things that she has, living life to the fullest, taking advantage of all things coming her way. She has a new book called All That Glitters Is Not Gold. And I'm excited to get into that. She accomplished so much as a wife, as a mother of 3. She didn't let those things get in her way. She really is here to inspire us, to motivate us. Have your paper and pen ready. Take down these nuggets. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the chat. Thank you. And if you didn't thumbs up already, please be sure to thumbs up this live. If you are not yet a subscriber, a part of this team, I invite you to do so. Hit the subscribe button and just let's have a conversation.
I was going to say, Sherri, if anybody has any questions they want to ask, I can always stop and answer questions, and because it's a lot that goes on in 80 years, so we want to bore you. It's like someone might have a special question they want to answer.
Hipster Spencer is saying hi, Aunt Joyce and cousin Leslie. It's Nicole.
Okay. Yes. Nicole is my niece who is in Indiana. And she's a member of a band. Oh, I love her music. It's kind of punk rock, but she will know that I know that she's there. That's great. Thank you, Nicole, for coming. Yes, absolutely.
And Rachel's Place is saying thanks to Carter's Eat. And Carter's Eat is welcoming everyone. I just want to make sure I didn't. Yes, and Dawn is saying exposure. Exposure is really important. So any of you who have young children, even for yourself, don't keep your mind closed. Expose yourself, expose the young people in your life. If you are in charge of a youth group, youth organizations, even basketball teams, when I coach basketball, I would expose my players, my young players, to different things that they, to this day, have not forgotten about. You just never know how you're opening up their minds. And I see Carter's Eat is saying hello to everyone. Thank you. And Sade Princess, a Beneficial Knowledge, is saying hello. Yes. Oh, Tuber Chat, Connect and Grow. Thank you for being here. Absolutely. Pastor's Corner is saying yes. Yes, Pastor Kim, it is so important. Exposure. I'm glad you're catching my live Tuber Chat. Yes, Tuber Chat has great live streams, you guys. He is there to support YouTubers of all sizes. I encourage you to connect with him and see what he is all about. He is very supportive. And everyone in this live is, I really appreciate you all for being here. You could have been anywhere else. And you said, you know what, I'm going to go see what Coach Sherri's doing. So thank you. Thank you. All right. So you were married. You were married for 5 years before you had your first child. Eventually, you moved to Danville. You got your certification, and we're doing nursing. We're still in a time where, there's a lot of challenges just in our country and our culture for who we are as a people.
Yes,
still able to navigate through that and have a great profession. What prompted you, or what made you say, I want to get my master's? Because you don't hear a lot of nurses once they get certifications, once they get it, especially having a degree in nursing, which is not that popular back then, I'm sure, How did you say, I want to now go and get my master's?
Well, you always, one of my pet terms is follow the yellow brick road. And I say that because around 1960s, the 70s, nursing began to emphasize having a master's degree to be to improve your skills and to grow and to think and to do research. Research became a part of the curriculum. So in the BSN program, you probably had an introduction to research kind of course, but if you went into the master's program, you were preparing yourself more or less to teach. So again, they would say if you expect to teach on the college level, you need to have a master's degree. And that was 1974 or 5, I believe. But I have I'm going to not usurp you, but I have another book that you did show that where I talk about, this is as we go forth, Reflections of Winston-Salem State University Nursing Education Trailblazers, class of 61. So anyway, I came across a lot of my classmates, they got their masters, maybe within about 2 years of finishing the program. But I say in this book that I didn't have any trouble earning a good salary as a nurse anesthetist for the 15 years I was there. So I said, well, I've had my BSN for 15 years. I mean, why do I need a master's? Being a little pompous, 35 years old. So anyway, it was about that time though. And they began to put that in the nursing literature too, that you should be considering a master's degree to become more competitive and all that kind of thing. So again, I was in New Jersey. Again, luck. Luck. I don't like to say luck because I don't think it's luck. My husband was an educator, and he was a professor at Seton Hall University in the School of Education. So his literature came to the house, and also one day a letter came that we're going to start a MSN program at Seton Hall. Any nurses out there interested, contact us. So I did contact them and applied, but I had the joy of my life when I got the letter that since you are married to a employee of Seton Hall University, you get 1/2 tuition, 50% tuition. You can't pass up for an opportunity like that, No. So again, you just when it comes, you got to be ready to jump on the big train. So that's the count. And we were a young group who were just energetic, ready to set the world on fire. We were all in our, say, between 25 and 35. So for those of you who might be that age, that's an exploratory time. You're learning about yourself, what you can do, what your strengths are, things you've been commended on and all that. So I talked to my husband about it because he was I think he had gotten his master's already from Seton Hall. Mm-hmm. So of course, having gone to Winston-Salem together, I said, well, I can't let him get ahead of me. I didn't say that. I don't remember saying it. But anyway, the opportunity was there. So I took advantage of it. And the kids were in school, so I was able to go to classes. And they had classes more or less in the afternoon, so I didn't have to stop my job if I didn't want to. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of how I decided, well, I guess I'll go see what this master's degree is about, because I was satisfied with what I was doing. I really didn't want to be a teacher, like education, public school. So, but I ended up being a teacher of nursing. So I guess I was destined to be an educator anyway. Yes. But that's how I came to get the master's I said, well, I'll apply. I had to take the MAT. I think I did not have to take the
GRE?
The GRE. I don't think so. Anyway, I took the MAT. So, you take this little test and pass. And I might go back and say I was a pretty good student in high school. I was the valedictorian in my class. So I kind of knew.
Valedictorian. You were excellent.
Well, you didn't know that. I always said when I got to Winston, I said, oh, that was a little small school in Goldsboro. What do the rest of these folk in North Carolina present, challenges? So I knew what I could do, but I didn't always know what I couldn't do, perhaps. But I was a risk taker, which is what they sort of taught us at Seton Hall. They say, if you're going to, part of coming into the program, we want you to consider being a risk taker, meaning going outside your boundaries, doing something that you've not done before, all those things. So I was kind of ripe and ready for all those things because I had kind of a protected childhood, growing up with a very disciplined, authoritarian mother. She was very strict and she didn't let her girls just do anything that they thought they wanted to do. So we felt we were kind of restrained, but either way, we were just exploring life. And that's how I got in the master's program. And it was only a 3-semester program, 35, 36 credits. So you say, oh, that's only 3 semesters. They even advertised it as 3 semesters. So I went in September, the spring of the next year. And then by the fall of 77, I was done. I'd done my 3 semesters, had to do a practice teaching because I chose education as an area of clinical expertise, as well as maternal child care, which is mother-baby nursing. So trying to stay away from the sick folk, sick. I wanted to keep people getting well.
Absolutely.
And in our BSN program, we stressed like public health, being well, staying well, prevention. Don't know how not to get sick, know how to stay well. So that was down my line. Yes.
And for the apprentices and interns that I bring in to be gainfully employed and I get them workplace ready, one of the trainings that I do is health and wellness, because I'm like, in order for you to stay employed and to do your best and show up your best, you have to know what foods to eat, how to take care of your body. And so those are all important in addition to what you need to learn in terms of skills for your job. But there was something that you had said, and I promise you all, I hope you have your pen and paper so that you can write this down, where you said, you know what you could do, you didn't know what you couldn't do. And I think that's another way of how you can get over obstacles, because you don't know. So you, instead of telling a child or telling yourself or people around you what they can't do, encourage them with what they can do and encourage them to do something new that comes up. Because they don't know if they can do it or not. It's like, don't let your children tell you where they don't want to go if they've never been there before.
Absolutely.
You have to at least go one time and experience it. And you
absolutely
might love it. But, a lot of people focus on what they can't do, what they've never done, and that also pauses them, and that's an obstacle. I think sometimes people think obstacles are things that other people put in their way. They think obstacles is something that's like that roadblock that they have to, but like I said earlier, sometimes it's what you create for yourself. So
sometimes you're your biggest obstacle, your own biggest obstacle. Yes,
you are in your own way oftentimes. And I tell my clients that all the time, I'm like, you have to get out of your way, because you're the one sabotaging yourself. You're sabotaging your success. You're sabotaging your growth by not moving forward, by not taking that next step. And so I really like that. You knew what you could do and not what you couldn't do. That's deep. I see everyone is speaking. Oh, thank you for sharing this, Tuber Chat on read it. Thank you, Reddit. Thank you. Backyard Gardener is saying hello to you and to me. And Carolyn Eats All is speaking. Hello, Carolyn Eats All. Thank you for being here. And Dawn is saying, we talk a lot about work-life balance. She wants to know, how did you maintain balance? Because you had your career for so many years. You're a wife. Now you are also a mother, and you went back to get your master's. How did you get that work-life balance? How did you develop that?
Well, I did. I could start, and my husband may be looking at this, but I told him, I mentioned his name, but I had a very supportive husband, and just about anything that I said I wanted to do, he didn't try to deter me. It's almost like, you do what you have to do. And he had gotten his master's, and I was being supportive of him. I even it didn't even dawn on me that I would go back and get a master's or a doctorate. I was helping him get where he needed to get to be a good educator. He was a very good teacher. We went from Durham to Montclair, where he taught in the city schools of Montclair, and then he joined the Upward Bound program at Seton Hall, and they hired him to be a professor of education. So we were just kind of trotting along, and we had lots of Winston-Salemites in New Jersey. So we just felt like we were a little club and a little social group, and our house was called Roland's Wreck at times, because we always had Roland's Wreck, but finally we had the first child, and so in finding time, I was fortunate enough. I really just kind of took advantage of what was there. There were women who would babysit in the home, or you could take your kids to their home. Those were family daycare centers. And the first few years, my kids were in family daycare centers, and folk in the neighborhood would tell you who was a good child care person. I had a good child care home. So again, you take advantage of those things that gives the kids a little time away from you, give you time away from them. And then you come back home ready to share more with them, because you have less frustration and maybe something new to share with them. So I just, I had, at one time I had people coming in to take care of my kids in the home. I just thought that anesthesia program gave me a lot of leeway. There were some days I worked one 24-hour period, I'd be off 2 days. I work another 24-hour period, I'd be off 2 days. And maybe I was on call every third weekend. So I had a lot of time there, to kind of sleep or recover and decide, what else to do, as well as raise the kids. So being young.
I know that you said, with your husband also being in education and getting his advanced degrees, because I know that was kind of like parallel to my in-laws' story as well. They met at Kentucky State, got married, had 2 children. They both got their masters at PWIs at NYU, and they kind of did it that way. But what motivated you? Because so many women will talk now about how tired they are, they don't have time. What kept you going? Because that sounds like a real flexible schedule. But when I hear staying up 24 hours,
well, I wasn't always up 24 hours. I was on call. So if I didn't get called in, I got a chance to rest. But it was when you're in your 20s and 30s, you have lots of energy, and you think you can do it all. So you just step out there on faith. And I can't think of too many obstacles, except that, I did have to have childcare when I was away from home, maybe 24 hours, I was called in. My husband kept the kids, or I had to make sure there was someone available. Oh, and I must mention this, although she's probably not listening, but I had a very good girlfriend in New Jersey who was a teacher. And she was always there to help me out, like on the weekends and during the summers when she was not teaching. She was my babysitter. So, and I spoke to her a few months ago about how much she meant to me, being there with my kids and teaching them what she knew and complimenting what I was giving them. So you surround yourself with good people who are supportive of what you're trying to do.
Absolutely. And that's something that I also share with my apprentices and my interns, my workforce development participants, because they're grown. They're aged from 20 to almost 60. And many of them have young children. And I tell them, you have to communicate with the people around you, meet people, network, get to know them very well, see how they flow within their family units and things like that, because they might have to be your support system, especially as everyone is so transient. And even though there's a lot of people that won't move, there's still a number of people that do move. And when they move, they're not moving necessarily with their families. And I know, like for my husband and I, it was just he and I, and our parents would come and visit when they could. And so you need to develop a strong network, a strong community that is supportive of who you are, what you're doing. They're not doing the crab in the pot thing, they're there really to support what you're doing. And in turn, you are supporting them as well. So that's really important. Before we continue, I want to say hello to Bless Row. Thank you for being here. Bless Row Journey, that's a new name. Okay. And Pastor Kim's Corner is saying, wow, look at God. Yes, this is all his word. That's why it's not about luck, it's favor. It's God.
I always say, look at God. And I did grow up in a very religious home and taught to pray and taught about God. And asking for help. So that was part of my upbringing too. That's where some of the affirmations come in, saying those things that push you past that rough spot.
Yes, absolutely.
God, let go and let God.
Yes, yes. And Vern's junk closet is saying love, light to everyone. She needs to step away. Okay, thank you for being here, so early and setting it all up. Vern's junk closet. I appreciate you. And thank you also, Carolyn Eats All, for being here. Okay, so I'm going to fast forward a little bit to when you got your doctorate. And I understand, when you go for your doctorate, basically your dissertation is a book. But you have 8 books. You're the author of 8 books. When did you start writing books? And I know when we had spoke, you said that you did you had like wrote chapters in other books, and that's another thing. So for real, all right, this whole thing is for real. But Dr. Joyce, okay, so there's some great authors here. There's some people who have those great books inside of them that have not come out yet.
Yes.
There are so many different ways that you can become an author. I mean, you can first start with writing articles, and you can do what you did, which was do a chapter in someone's book, collaborate.
Right.
So if you can share with the audience, how you went about becoming an author of 8 books.
Okay. I always liked to write. I think I told you I kept a journal as a high school student. Didn't know why, except I just like to write down. And I was kind of a quiet child. Do you do Myers-Briggs? You know, the Myers-Briggs chart?
Yes.
I think I was INTP, introvert. Thinker, perceptive, and the N was intuitive. But I was kind of quiet and not so much shy, but I was in a family of 6 kids. You got to claw your way out. But anyway, so I wrote things down, I guess, when I got angry or whatever. But as I went to college, I had one professor who actually complimented me a lot on my writing. He's passed now, but it's Dr. Joseph Patterson at Winston-Salem State. So you get feedback as to what you are good at. Nobody probably at Dillard High School ever said, they didn't say I wasn't good at writing, but that wasn't what I was there for. I had to get all the courses. So I began to get praise for my writing, encouraged to write. And my mother liked English and liked books. So I just had a love of books anyway. So I always read. And the writing came after after the kids were out of the house. So when I had time, I did do a master's thesis, which I had to write and research. So the research, being introduced to that in the master's level and the PhD level, puts you in the mindset of writing. You definitely have to write. And for the record, in case our time runs out, Sherri, it took me 10 years to get my doctorate because that was a long program. It's almost, but I did it because, I didn't do it because my husband did it, but the opportunity came. And I helped him in, putting his dissertation together and writing it. And I always edited stuff. I was good in English. So one day it even came to me, if you can help him get a doctorate, why don't you get your own? So that was my thought, the kind of, plus being in a college setting, teaching nursing, they did say, if you expect to, progress in academia, you must have a PhD. And I kind of maybe looked and rolled my eyes, really. But anyway, so you get motivated to do something about somebody kind of challenging you. And of course, when I went to UNC Chapel Hill, which is where I was working, most of the faculty were the other persuasion, women nurses. So you have to compete. You have to see if you can do it. And at that time, I was about 35. So I applied to Duke University and I applied to North Carolina State. And Duke was so prestigious that they wouldn't take you for a master's after you were 25. In other words, I guess your brain kind of died after. I don't know what that was about, but anyway, I probably could not have afforded it anyway. Maybe they would have given me scholarships, but anyway, I applied to North Carolina State. It was a very good school that always was competing with UNC Chapel Hill, and UNC even told me as a professor I could not attend school there as a student. Professor cannot take courses where they work. So I had to look outside of, now they do. But anyway, that prompted me to go to North Carolina State, which is about 20 miles away from Durham. Mm-hmm. And I applied to NC State. And there was another little obstacle there. They first told me, since I had a master's in nursing, but I did not have a master's in psychology, which is what I wanted to get the doctorate in. So, but God works in mysterious ways. My
But you know
brother
the
had
pattern because of nursing and the brain and all that. Like, didn't you?
yeah, and the psychology. I wanted to know why people did things, why and what and where, and those were always my questions. And my husband gets mad at me now because I'm always saying what and why and when. He says, "Why do you need to know that?" That's what I do. I ask questions. So anyway, they said, "Oh, you don't have a master's in psychology, so you should have to take a couple of courses to let us know that you can do the work." I said, "Here we go again. You got to prove yourself." So I went on and took a couple of courses that summer, I suppose, and I think I got B's or B pluses or whatever, and they accepted me into the doctoral program. It did help, I suppose. Maybe there was a Black male professor there in the school of psychology. So again, all of this time, they're trying to beef up the African-American student population. So you just, for the students and whoever's listening, you have to be in the right place at the right time and see what they're trying to do for you, and take advantage of it. It's not, if you don't take advantage of it, then they don't want this, So anyway,
and do your best while you're doing it too.
Yes. So this gentleman, he was, I don't know even where he came from, but he was there on the psychology faculty. And so he was very happy to have me in class, and of course being a nurse and also. And I thought psychology was very appropriate with nursing because you just were always trying to change behavior with your sick clients. So that's why I chose that. And they had a major called community psychology, meaning that you work with groups of people trying to get them to change behavior in the community or in the family or in mass in the classroom and all of that. So that fit my frame of reference also. So I said, if I can help my husband get a PhD, I think I can get my own. I'll see, what happens. So I went over there, but that was actually the hardest thing I ever did, mainly because all my professors were white males for the most part. And I was a nursing student and they were psychologists. And, it's almost like never the twain shall meet. And it's like trying to get them to hear what I was saying about teenage development, teenage pregnancy. I'm coming from a health point of view and they talking about, behavior and all that, but it all fit together. And the other reason, I had 3 girls and I had to take the time to get them through their adolescence, why I'm talking about teen pregnancy prevention. So you look at the whole thing, and finally I said, let me get finished writing this dissertation. I finished the coursework in about 3 years, but I had to do a master's equivalency. So I had to get a master's equivalency in psychology before I could take my comps and go forward for the doctorate. I said, Lord have mercy, what else? I told people I'd rather be washing dishes or cooking than dealing with that dissertation.
A lot of people would get discouraged by that. There's a lot of layers to things to achieve success. Oftentimes, to achieve success is a lot of layers you have to go through. Don't stop at the medium or the middle layer. Keep going because the core is right there. It may take you 10 years to get to it, but you will get to it. And when you stop, oftentimes it's right there. You're closer than you think.
Yes. And I found some students who were like maybe classmates in other programs who were get into arguments with their professor, and to the point that they just drop out of the program, told that you don't belong here, you can't do the work, or you can't follow direction. So they was not pursuing the rest of all that work they had put in. So it's perseverance. Getting a doctorate makes you very humble. You learn again what you don't know and what you need to know, and how to approach that. You got to have people on your side who know what you're trying to do and helping you do it. So It was, and in addition to that, an African-American female did come to North Carolina State from Appalachian State University, younger than I was, but she was on my committee. I asked her about being on my committee and she agreed. She was psychology, adolescent developmental psychology. So, just again, having an African-American support person on the faculty helps you a lot, and you have somebody you can go talk to. So finally, I decided I was going to finish that dissertation. I went on and I joined a dissertation support group. I would say that to anybody that might be listening. That helped me because we met about once a week talking about issues and problems and obstacles. And just having that group to bounce things off of gave me support and perseverance to just, okay, go to the next stage, get this done. And finally, I defended it in March of 1991. I was 51 years old.
Wow.
And someone would say thought I was about ready to stop work. He said, why am I still in school? But
look at this. It took you 10 years to get it, right?
Yes.
But it's been how many years? 30 plus years since you've had it. 30 years at least since you've had it. So look at that. When people stop, if you keep going, you keep living, you keep doing and striving, if you look back and you stopped 30 years ago, you would have had it 30 years already.
Yes.
So
And that's
stop.
You have to look at that too. It's like, don't stop. It's like, if you weren't doing this, what else would you be doing?
Right.
So just keep doing. And I also had a mindset of, not giving up or not quitting. So I said, I'm going to get this doctorate because they probably don't want me to get it. So I just kind of found a person to bond with. I had a young white guy who was from Michigan State University, and he was very supportive. He always said, Joyce, keep going, keep going. I could talk to him. He was a young, younger than I. So most of my professors in many instances were younger than I, but I just stayed the course, Stay the course.
And being challenged is a great thing, because when you get through that, when you prove yourself, that's your testimony. And so what you're sharing is your testimony. And it's one of those, you look at you were 51 when you finished. If you can do it, if you are young in this chat, if you are older in this chat, if you are seasoned in this chat, you can do it too.
You can do whatever you want to do.
Absolutely.
If you think you can. Yes. If you can. Yes.
Dawn has a question. She said, is there anything that you would do differently?
I probably would have tried to get through that doctorate sooner, but not really, because it gave me a chance to get to know my girls and discover their skills and what I wanted to nudge them towards. So it gave me a chance to be a good parent and to use the knowledge I was learning in terms of parenting, because as I said before, I came from a very disciplined household, but my mom wasn't that, I guess you would say, steeped in psychology, how to, that generation, you got a spanking or you got yelled at, or you didn't get a chance to do whatever it was you wanted to do. So she didn't have any time for all that nonsense about what you weren't going to do or couldn't do. But so I just decided to see if it wasn't if there weren't another way to raise your children also, because she was 18 when she got married. So I remember now, I would say she yelled a lot.
Her patience were a little short.
Her nerves were stretched. And I should say this, Sherri, my sisters and I, we were all about 20 months apart. So she had her hands full. She didn't have no time for foolishness.
Yeah. And I
remember when I came home from college one year, I went over and kind of kissed her, and she kind of looked like she was kind of taken back. But she didn't express a lot of emotion. She barely hugged or kissed us. I mean, in my mind, she might have, but it's almost like things you think about. But the discipline was there, but it's like, this is what you need to know to get through this life. You don't need a whole lot of hugs and kisses. You do what you're told to do.
Right.
And you see what happens when you get on the other side.
Absolutely. I see your daughter, Kaifa.
Kaifa, yes.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Kaifa. That's my second daughter. So she's kind of akin to me. I look and see what the second one does. She tries harder. She's a very good student. She's a professor at University of Colorado Boulder.
That's awesome.
Chair of the Women and Gender Department right now. So I'm proud of all of them.
That's awesome.
And yes.
I think Super Chat had to leave. Thank you for coming, though. Pastor Kim's Corner is saying it doesn't matter how long it takes. Dawn is saying inspiring. And Kaifa is saying, and she provided an amazing example of perseverance for her daughters. Yes, as parents, you are a role model. Even if you don't think your children are watching, they are. So sometimes as you're doing for yourself, especially as a parent, or even as an aunt, as an uncle, as someone that's in the community that has young people watching you, know that every move you make, you're doing it not just for yourself, but for those that are coming behind you.
Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you, Kaifa.
Pastor Kim's Corner is saying, awesome, ladies, very enjoyable. And Leslie Teasel, your firstborn, is saying, hi,
That's my
Mom.
firstborn. Yes, 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 yes.
Welcome, you all. Welcome. This is like a little family reunion.
We haven't seen each other in a while either. And I think Lisa told them I was going to be on.
That's so cool. Carolyn Eats All is saying that's awesome as well. So I want to first tell everyone, can you hold your other book up, the one that you wrote regarding the nurses at Winston-Salem State? Because if you have a nurse in your life, if you know someone who is trying to start a new career, because sometimes people hear of a particular career and think, oh, that's just for that, but it's applicable to all careers. Listen to this journey, get inspired by this book, and hear about these 8 amazing women who became nurses and went beyond in spite of, and got over those obstacles, didn't let their own obstacles keep them from achieving the goals that they had set forth. And remember, all of her books, the link to them is going to be in the bottom, the description box of this live. So even if you go out now, you can see the description and the link to where you can purchase it. And I have the link for her current book, which is All That Glitters Is Not Gold. So I want to talk a little bit about this book, because like I said, when I first saw it, when Lisa had shared it with her on her YouTube channel and opened it up, I was like, oh my goodness, that is something I love, because it's interactive. It's not just giving me the inspiration, it's also giving me a place where I can capture my thoughts of that inspiration. So how did you come up with this? Because you don't see many books that are created like this, that are,
Well, that means I have to tell another short story, not very long. I took a course online where you were learning how to self-publish. And part of the example they gave was start out with a quote book. They gave that as an example. That's often people start out with quote books. I've seen some of our Delta sorors have written books where you have interactive lines to fill in. And I wanted to write, but I didn't want to write fiction. I wasn't ready to write a memoir. So I just kind of wanted to share some of the things. And in our household, as I said before, my parents use a lot of quotes and adages. So the book that I sort of mimicked this after had quotes in it already, but I had the ability to go through there and change some of the quotes to custom quotes, things I wanted to put in. And I talked to my sister, who is also a nurse, and Lisa. So I have Lisa as a contributing author, I think, on one of the books. But we talked about.
I want to say that's Carter's Eats, everyone, for you.
Yes, Carter's Eats. Yes, yes, yes. So we talked about things that probably I had said to them. And so I'm putting quotes, wanted to include some that were African American oriented and stimulate people to think about maybe what guides you during your day. You have to have something to get you through the day, an affirmation, something in the back of your head. If you grew up like I did, my mother was kind of always in the back of my head, talking in my ear, saying something about what you should be doing or should not be doing. And there was one quote that they say, well, the early bird gets the worm, but the other one was, an idle mind is the devil's workshop. I know some of you have heard that. Yes. I don't think it's in here, but those kind of things were coming at me. So I said, I think I'd like to revisit some of the African-American adages that we heard a lot growing up, because our parents read good books and literature because that's what they were taught in school, but it's almost like, where could they use it? My mom loved Paul Laurence Dunbar, and for anybody who wants to read good literature, he writes good poems, so she used to always recite poems. So I was trying to stay with the writing, but do something that was fun and easy to finish. Maybe 2 or 3 years from now, I'll start a memoir. That would be long. So I didn't want a long challenge. I was trying to adjust to Denver, keep everybody happy, keep myself happy. This is a part of my self-growth and development, just kind of keeping my brain active while I'm here with my grandkids who do a lot to keep it active also. So, it's self-preservation. And hopefully I shared some quotes that people can find useful. And if you have any of your own that you want to share or send to me, maybe I'll have a book too. But it's just something to keep busy and also remind yourself of what guided you when you were in need of some inspiration.
Absolutely. And so this book, you had it published in 2020.
Just coming off the press.
Just coming off the press, and you are 80 years young. And so for those of you that say, oh, I can't do it, it's, that my time has passed, I'm just going to watch everyone else go by. No, live life as long as you have it and do all that you want to do, because it is never too late. It is sometimes it's too early, but you really want to get everything out of you, because this is going to be a masterpiece for someone, for years from now, to look back on the things that you wrote, to have your children look back on the things that you wrote. And I was really surprised at how cost effective this was. This is something that you can buy in bulk. If you have a team, if you have a group that you are mentoring, this is something that you can buy in bulk and give it to them. Have it as I know when my husband played football, we would have the wives would get together, and like we did, The Power of a Praying Wife was one of the books that we had used for our Bible study. This could be something you can use for a Bible study, and just on a weekly basis, maybe share out one of the inspirations and what it meant to you, and just go deep with it. This is brilliant. So I heard, and I don't know if everyone else heard, but I heard you say that you went and did self-publishing, some type of writing group. Did anybody else catch that? Oh, before we go, I see. Okay, so Carter's Eats. So all of you are sorors. Hello.
We're all still.
Absolutely. And Leslie T is saying, Mom is amazing. She has so much energy. Ask her about riding a Harley a few summers ago.
And a horse at a what kind of camp was that? And somewhere in Poughkeepsie. But anyway, a horse ranch, and got on a horse. But it's just fun. But I like my dad had a motorcycle, and I just wanted to try that motorcycle one time to see. It's very exhilarating.
Yeah.
Getting back to the book, though, I like to say I also think it would be good for Christmas presents or graduation gifts and that kind of thing. And my daughter Leslie is a member of the Jack and Jill's Club, and she also suggested and shared that with them. So it's kind of trying to keep the next generation motivated and let them know that we haven't forgotten them. We're on their side. And I even have thought of some other quotes that I didn't put in here. So I said, oh my God, but all that glitters is not gold. Somebody would have to interpret that. Somebody should say, what does that mean? The grass is not green on the other side of the fence. The grass is not always green on the other side of the fence. So just little things that make you go, oh, right. What does that mean? So just playing around with what I like to do. But I also learned to self-publish at the time I did it. So that was the new learning. So not being technically savvy. Wow. That was a challenge, just dealing with the computer and Amazon. So anyway, it finally came off the press.
For real. I mean, we have time, because I caught that, and I have my notes. I hope y'all have your notes, because I have 4 pages already that I've been writing.
And maybe we can write a book together sometime, all of us.
Right?
But
So you took a self-publishing course?
Yes, and because everybody's talking about self-publishing, so you can say, well, what is it? Because to get an agent and to have someone help you distribute and market your book is the next difficult stage. And everybody is doing a little bit more of self-publishing now and finding smaller companies, smaller venues to help them. But when you do it yourself, you even submit it to Amazon. They give you feedback, and you put your chapters in. You got to write your introduction and create the cover you want. So it was that was a exercise for me to kind of decide what I want, create something, so that was part of that.
What was the name of your course? Because I know people are probably like, Coach Sherri, ask her the name of the course.
But the course actually was Transforming Destiny. I took a course when it came to Charlotte about a year ago, and Transform Destiny, and I can tell you more about that. I would probably rather send you stuff because I don't want to misquote. But it was a course, and they're going to be in Charlotte. I think the 4th weekend in November again. So it might be a good opportunity for someone to check it out. But this was part of one of the assignments that had to do with being they call it publish to profit. So publishing something for profit. So that
Okay.
was the course, learning how to write and how to choose your words and all of that.
Wow.
And yeah, and the other group that I did work with was called PWN. This is one of the books where we talked about survival skills of African American women. I don't know if you can see that. Anyway, I told you about it, and you can find it on Amazon. That was a woman out of Kentucky who was seeking writers to contribute to her book, and she put the advertisement in Black Enterprise. So again, I was reading through. I said, "Oh, here's a way to get a chapter published," and I wrote to her, and we began to communicate. And she was kind of a writing coach, and I had to pay her a fee to kind of help me get the book together. But she again was a Caucasian, but she was, when you go to her programs, most of the women there, quite a few African American women, so women who want to write and want to learn to write. So that's where I started writing my first chapters, and the first one was in this book, Young Women's Guide to Personal Success. And my chapter had to do with anyway, it's in there, Common Life. I have to always find it. I don't know. But so just kind of trying to find ways to motivate myself to write. My chapter was Follow Your Dreams, Pathway to Success. So that was for young girls. And I'll see that you get a copy of this. Sure, I wanted to drop it by. But anyway, so those kind of things, I discovered that I like to write. I said, and so how to do it and not have to write a great big book and now I am thinking about creative writing, but I still don't think I want to do a memoir. It's got to be poems. I like poems. I'm working on poems now. Yeah.
Look at that, 80 years young. I love it. You are so inspiring. And Jamila Calloway is saying, enjoyed this so much. I love her new book. Yes.
Oh, good. Jamila's a very good friend of mine. Yes. She taught me a lot.
And because it is on Amazon, it comes really quick because I ordered it and the next day I had it.
Yes. And Shelda and Jamila and I were in a mastermind group together. So they taught me a lot of what I know. Telling me how to get it together. It's always good to also have young women friends and a mixture so that you learn from everybody, from the top and from the bottom, and you can hopefully disseminate some of the information you have. And I hope I've encouraged somebody to think about nursing. Nursing is a field too that needs more practitioners of color.
Yeah,
I'll say that. Yeah. So, and anybody interested in nursing, I'll be happy to talk to you about, what it entails. It's not for everybody.
Yes.
But everybody might get sick one day wish they knew a nurse. And I also like to give advice, or at least give some suggestions of what that might mean, or see your doctor or whatever. So let's stay healthy and let's learn from each other.
Yes, definitely. And when you said, just knowing people and making those connections with people of all ages, that's why it is such a blessing for me to have been connected to you. I mean, this is marvelous. It really is.
I've enjoyed it. I was a little nervous about it, Sherri, because one of my fallacies was I didn't always like to talk before people. So when Lisa was talking about this evening, I said, "Oh, this Friday's not a good time. I'm tired of this time of day. It's 6 o'clock. I might not be in a good mood." I was getting kind of frustrated, and the computers also have a way of going out when you don't need them to go. So I was just kind of thinking, I guess, of all the negative things that could happen. But I've enjoyed it. You've been very provocative, and you have a good audience there, which I hope have gleaned something from what I've shared. And
absolutely. I see Jill's Comfort Zone is in the building, and she's saying good evening, everyone. To me, to you, Dr. Joyce Roland. And Jill's Comfort Zone, this is Carter's Eats, Mrs. Carter, Lisa's mom. Such a wonderful guest. Oh, and I have 4 pages of notes. So how's your notes coming, everyone? And then so Carter's East is telling everyone, definitely check out Jill. Absolutely. And Jill's Comfort Zone, she has a great channel. She does. Over 50 and Fantabulous is another wonderful YouTuber that I'm connected with. And she's saying, Dr. Roland, thank you for being such an inspiration. Yes, Over 50 and Fantabulous and Blessed Row are having birthdays on Sunday. My birthday was yesterday, but their birthday was on Sunday. See, Over 50 and Fantabulous. See?
Yes. And she told me how old she was going to be. And I said, oh, you're just starting. You're just beginning to cross not even the finish line. You just got grown.
Yes, I just became grown at 51. Absolutely. I feel that way 100%.
Yes, yes,
I
yes.
love it. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Vernell has a question. She says, my question is, how does an anesthesiologist learn all of the bones in a person's body and how to stick the needle in the right place? And how do you become an intern for specialty education?
But one question I would have just for the end, and then the professor in me is, what do you mean by specialty education? Unless she's meaning specializing outside of the norm. But an anesthesiologist, I will say, though, is a physician who gives anesthesia.
Mm-hmm.
A nurse anesthetist does the same thing pretty much, but she learns under the anesthesiologist, but we do most of the work and they supervise us. So, and all the bones in the body, that's your anatomy and physiology course that you might have failed.
Right.
Knowing the bones and the blood vessels and all of that. And I meant that facetiously, but if you don't always remember all those bones, and once you get past that, but you learn all that just even before going to nursing school. You have to be able to bones in the wrist, the bones in the legs, your thigh muscles, thigh bones, and hip bones, and your vertebrae. So you're mostly working with blood vessels for anesthesia. You go introducing the drugs into the veins, and there are the gases that we learn to give. There used to be an anesthetic called ether. Anybody that's older than I am probably remember ether, but now it's mostly IV meds that put you to sleep. And it's fascinating. I'll tell one other little aside. When I was doing anesthesia, HIV came along, and all we were talking about were needle sticks, avoiding needle sticks, not getting stick with the bloody needle. And that's when it hit me when you mentioned how did I get into graduate school. I said, with all of this HIV and blood sticks, and I got 3 girls, I think I ought to maybe be doing something else. So I enjoyed anesthesia, but I just made that decision that it wasn't very safe for me to be in blood. People would pierce their gloves and get stuck with needles. And that was one of the ways that it was transmitted. So maybe that was a fear I did have, but all that change kind of came about as a result of HIV. And that was in the 70s, up in New Jersey. Up there in Newark, just after the 1968 riots and 72. So it was a good career. Very good career.
She was talking about internships. So in terms of an internship, if you are in any program, be it a degreed program or a certification program, it is typically affiliated with some type of education house, a community college or a 4-year degreed college, university. They all will have a career center. So definitely when you first enroll, get to know who the career services are and let them know that you are very interested in doing internships. Throughout your programs, they'll bring up internship opportunities.
Absolutely. Get a paid one if you can. Paid internship.
Absolutely, a paid one.
But yes, the counseling departments in colleges, they're there to help you and guide you toward internships. And again, sometimes if you work for a company during the summer or what have you, find out what they have available. So it's that's research, and I'd also be glad to talk with anybody about that. But certainly, you just again find somebody who's doing what you want to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I see, yes, you're welcome, Jill. And so in Rachel's Place is saying, this is so good, great motivation. Yes. Thank you, Vernell, for welcoming everyone in. I appreciate that. Bless Row is saying, Dr. Joyce, have you ever had a needle stick?
Yes, I have. But you just immediately clean your finger off with alcohol, but not a deep one. You're always protected with gloves in the operating room. And that's one thing you try to avoid is a needle stick. Plus, because it doesn't feel good. Either. Yeah. But I have had one, but a little prick. But that's one of the no-nos that you learn and try to avoid being stuck with the needle. Then they have mechanisms now where you don't get stuck as easily.
And you can talk your way to healthier relationships is in the building. This is another great YouTuber. She does a lot on communication and the importance of it. And she has a lot of lives where she does a live just about every morning, I want to say. Just too early for me, but she comes on Saturday nights, and she really gives great tips and advice and strategies on developing great relationships personally and professionally. And she's saying, been listening in the background, such a blessing to hear the journey of her story. Did she ever have to work with electronic health records? And if so, was it a difficult transition?
It was sort of difficult when we started having to put our nursing notes into the computer as we finished taking care of a client, and we call our patients. Most people say patients. We learned at Seton Hall that they were not patients, they were clients. So we put the information in the system, and that might have been difficult if you weren't that familiar with computers or felt that you could do it well. But that was the first contact I had with technology in terms of entering data. But you learn, and there are courses for that. There's data if you like data. But certainly, just if you can type, I learned to type in high school. And when I got to my master's program, I had to go take a basic computer courses with the zeros and the ones.
Yeah.
That never meant a lot to me, but that's how I got introduced to computers. Yes.
And another inspirational, I had just recalled it. My father's sisters, two of his sisters, were nurses. One is 87 now. She's retired, but she's very active and she does a lot of volunteer work. But the other is 79 and she just retired from the VA hospital. I mean, during this C-19, because they just didn't want to chance it, and she was eligible. But she was willing. She would have probably went on for another 10 years at least to work.
And you have a lot of energy. I retired at 72. And one of my daughters who's listening there, Kaifa, she used to tell me, and all my girls helped me a lot with the computer. I said, how do you do this? What am I supposed to do? And I told Kaifa one day, I said, I lost my document. And she said, Mama, calm down. She said, it's in there somewhere. All you got to do is, she showed me how to pull it back out and recover. So learning to use the computer was kind of a challenge for me because it was just so, out of the ordinary. Just
absolutely
not losing your document. That's a fear you have.
Yes, that is for everyone.
Write it all over again.
Yes. And I see Bebe, the sexy scratcher, is in the building. Hello, how are you? And Jamila Calloway is saying, you are such a treasured friend. You have also taught me so much. This has been so inspiring. That is
Thank you. I love Jamila. Yes. I love her. Yes.
And Bebe, the sexy scratcher, is studying medical coding. Okay, great.
Oh, yeah, that's a good course. Yes, a lot of money in that. I mean, good jobs. Medical coding. Because they need to translate all the data from charts into the electronic stuff. That whole. My daughter Leslie can tell you more about that. She's in the data field. She was an economics major. And is doing something like that now at her job.
That's what my daughter is at Spelman, studying economics. Kaifa Roland, your daughter, is saying your granddaughter
Asha
is watching too, says, I love my Mima. Aw.
Yeah, Asha has a birthday coming up. She'll be 16 November 11th. Awesome. My second granddaughter. So yeah, they are the joy of my life, just watching them grow up and find their way. Yes,
that's awesome. So I want, as we get ready to close the show, if everyone that has been in this live, first of all, thank you so much for being here. If you could just write down in the chat one nugget that you are taking away from today's live from Dr. Joyce. What is something that she said that resonated with you? What is something that she said that's inspiring you to move forward, motivating you to reach your goal, to keep going and not let the obstacles which might be within you to keep you from obtaining your true goal, your passions? What is that one thing? If you can write it in the chat, that would be great. Dr. Joyce, do you have any questions for me?
Well, I'd like to talk to you more about what you are doing, but I'm fascinated by the work that you are doing that's helping young people find themselves. And even you and Lisa both and all of the YouTubers that is a challenge. And I told Lisa, I said, I don't know if I could do that. It's too much work. It's just being out there and the topic and all of that. So I'm glad I'm 80. I don't have to rediscover and I don't have to learn anything else. I hope maybe a YouTube, but it's it's interesting, and you get lots of information from these YouTube. That information used to not be available so readily. So you are a asset to us too, who don't always get a chance to take continuous education courses and all those things. Lots to learn. Mm-hmm. Thank you for what you do.
You're welcome. Over 1.3 billion people every day are on YouTube. So it's people from around the world.
Yes.
Platforms. And I look at it as it being part of my legacy, sharing my experiences, my skills. So generations to come will be able to look back and say, oh, okay. Oh, wow. That's a great tip. I'm glad that she recorded it,
Yes, a great skill. I'm fascinated by Lisa and what's the word anyway, how she enjoys it so much, and she learns, I'm sure, a lot about herself, but she is a good candidate for that kind of activity. So I just praise those people who have the gumption and the need and the creativity to do it. So carry on and do what you're doing, and we learn a lot from it, us old folk.
Well, that's everybody. You are young, you are seasoned, and you are wise, and you are also so beautiful. And I appreciate you for being here. Do you have one more thing that you would like to share with the audience tonight in regards to getting past their obstacles?
Well, I quote my brother a lot on this, and I think I may have a quote in the book, but it's like, what is it? It's not luck. Luck is where opportunity and preparation meets. So if you are prepared and an opportunity comes, there is no reason for you not to see if you don't fit that need. In other words, don't avoid things that you've never done before. Another one here, the last one in the book, which I like to quote too, just in terms of a biblical reference, Luke 12:48, to whom much is given, much is expected in return. So all of you out there who are doing great things, you have gotten prepared for this and you're giving back, and we need to pass that on and help out the younger generation know that when you've been given a lot, then you have to turn around and make sure somebody benefits from what you learn and in the way that you might have on in a new way. But certainly we don't keep this to ourselves. We have to share with others.
Absolutely. Those are great parting words. Before we close, I'm just going to say hello to the Positive Pusher. Thank you. And I'm looking to see what are some of the nuggets. Everyone is saying hello. Oh, Leslie T is saying, be open to try anything. And Bebe, the Sexy Scratch, is saying, OMG, I need to speak to your daughter. I need help with more of coding. Let's see, you can talk your way to healthier relationships, is be willing to be a risk taker.
Yes.
Yes. And Hipster Spinster is saying, get out of your own way. You are never too young or too old to do what you want to be doing. That is definitely. Vernell is saying, stay adventurous and learn all you can while you can.
Absolutely. Yes. Very good.
Dawn F is saying, I'm going to get my PhD. And she went to the first HBCU, Lincoln University, and she has her master's from North Carolina A&T.
And she can get a doctorate from North Carolina A&T and from any other universities. But my dad used to say, you're not dead till you're done, or you're not done till you're dead. One of those. So you keep going. And in terms of getting a PhD, there's nothing to it but to do it.
Absolutely.
So go get it.
Absolutely. Thank you again, Dr. Joyce, for being here. This is not going to be a one and done. I would love to have you on again in the future, because I think you still have so much more to share with us. I'm trying to put together, I am putting together the live with the couples that met at HBCUs, and I would love for you and your husband, if he's willing to as well, to come on and share your story. So this has been a remarkable live, and
I've enjoyed it also. Very good. Very sometimes you don't know how many stories you have in you. And again, this is another thing we need to share with each other so that we can inspire others, and to say, if well, she can do it, I can do it, so I hope I've instilled that in someone. And if there's ever any question I can help someone with in terms of, I should just say, I used to be very good at taking tests. So you have to pass the state board in nursing, and I taught people how to take tests. So it's, just find out who can do what you can't do, and teach each one, teach one. Each one, teach one.
And if you want to know more about Dr. Joyce and how to get in contact with her, I have the link to the platform that has all of her books listed. I also have the link that's directly to this book, which is her newest publication. And the holidays are coming upon us, and this is definitely a great resource, is a great document. I mean, this is basically a document. That's what it turns into.
Thank you.
And I'm excited to be the owner of it, and definitely are going to purchase more for my family.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I can't even begin to tell you how much I love interaction and interactive, books. And just like with the chat, I love them to be interactive with it. Yes, definitely. But you're very
good at what you do also. Very, very good personality for that.
Thank you.
I've enjoyed it. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yes, my pleasure. I mean, this is all about, getting a person's story out, because you never know who it might be. One, it might be many. Either way, that's what we are all here for. We all are here to pay it forward. Our testimony is not to keep to ourselves, it's to share with the world. And what better platform than YouTube, which is one of the biggest platforms in the world, to share your story. I see Bless Roll is saying she ordered her book yesterday. Okay, Over 50 and Fantabulous is saying it has been an honor, Dr. Roland. Thank you. I'm so glad you are here. Over 50 and Fantabulous. And then and Jamila is saying, oh, wait. The live is moving fast. So Jamila Calloway is saying it's never too late to live on purpose. Follow your bliss. Carolyn Eats All is saying, what an inspiring and amazing woman. And Bebe the Sexy Scratcher is saying, I hope you ladies have a nice night. Much love. Yes, you too. Thank you for being here.
Thank you all for coming. Yes.
Yeah, I love it. Everyone is still speaking and thanking each other. This is, you guys are really amazing. So Bless Rose book comes on Monday. Dawn is saying, great job. Thank you. Vernell Livingston is saying, I remember people can't. It is not in the dictionary. Can means you can do it. Yeah, it's like impossible means I am possible. I'm possible. So, it's all about switching things. Carter's Each is saying, isn't Fantabulous? Yeah, she is. Still praying for your son. His spirit has been with me today. Yes, Fantabulous is amazing. So, you guys, I appreciate each and every one of you in this live. I appreciate each and every one of you who are watching this in the replay. Please be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you think someone else needs to hear this in your circle, people that are giving up, people that are letting those obstacles keep them down, people that are in their own way, share this video with them, because if this does not get them up and going and keeping them moving, I don't know what else can. Here is a beautiful woman, a wise woman of 80 years young, who is sharing her story, who just published her 8th book this year during C-19, in spite of. And, this is an inspiring book that you should have in your library, that you should use every day, that you should share with others. And I am so fortunate. I'm so blessed to have had her here, that tonight was a good night for her to be here. I know it's late. It's late for me as well.
We're good.
Yes.
I stay up late too. Sometimes I'm up to 11 o'clock, but I was thinking about the 6 o'clock hour, how I would get through there. But I think I survived it pretty well. You're a good interrogator. Yeah.
I'm very curious is what I like to say. Yes, and, I hope that people listen are curious too, so that, they can, I'm hoping I'm getting the questions that they would have asked you. I feel really fortunate to have caught the video where Lisa was talking about your book on Carter's Eats. and
Yeah.
that I caught the video when you were on the live with her. You know, that's happenstance, and
Yeah,
serendipity is what I call it. So
that's
we
right.
are all fortunate. They're still coming in. Everyone is saying things. Let's see. In Rachel's Place is saying, yes, I shared with my friend through text message. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you so much in Rachel's Place. Absolutely. Yes. So you all, as you may know or may not know, but this channel is about workforce development, career readiness, entrepreneurship, and of course, real life, real issues, and real talk. And I feel that speaking with Dr. Joyce, it covered all those things. And Dr. Joyce Roland is amazing. It has been a pleasure for me to have you. And everyone, remember, practice hard so that when you play, you will always play to win. Thank you to
All
all
right.
my mods that are in the chat that have been welcoming people in. And if you are not yet subscribed, I invite you to subscribe and join the team. There's still so many great things yet to come. All right, everyone, until we speak again, please stay safe and take care.
Thank you so very much for having
You're
me. I
welcome.
so much.
You're welcome.
Good night now.
Good night. This has been Real Talk with Coach Sherri.